Hey there, I'm Amanda with Hook'em Homestead, and I am going to do our school haul for the year. But this is a much smaller school haul than you were probably used to seeing, because honestly, we don't buy a whole lot of things. So I buy things one term at a time for the term we need ahead of us, because otherwise it becomes overwhelming and a huge list and all of the things. So I'm going to show you what we actually bought versus what we already had and things that I would buy again if I didn't have. How about that? So we're going to hop in. So we went to the store and bought yarn. We are doing knitting this term. Did I have yarn? Yes. Should I just have used the yarn we had? Yes. However, my rainbow loving gal and my purple loving gal had strong opinions about the yarn they wanted to use, which is going to help get their will on our side when we're doing the things. So the next thing we bought is a CD of Chopin so that we can listen to this in the car during lunch and those kinds of things. When I don't do this, we don't listen to our term composer as much because I never think to put on Spotify or a YouTube playlist or whatever. So I just buy a CD. That way it's in the car. Okay, this is hard to see. This is an umbrella that we needed for our astronomy. We had this flashlight. We bought the little cellophane to put on it. And we had the rubber band, okay, also for astronomy. And I needed this board for astronomy. Then the last thing we purchased were these specific stickers because my daughter wants to make a very specific card for her cousin during our card making. Fine. Okay, so then I will hop into school supplies we've already owned, and are using again. So, well, first would be a globe. That's one thing we're using. I was just going to set that off to the side. But here is these primary composition notebooks. There are lines and a place to draw, as you can tell. I use those for their narration notebook. So we are just continuing on with our narration notebooks that we've had previously until they are full. And then my oldest daughter will be moving to just a lined composition book for her narrations. Okay, and then we have all of our books. Those are in my other videos. Go check them out. Subjects specific. Some of them are subject specific and would have it in there. Otherwise, you can just go back and see what we're doing for the year, and it'll have by subject in there for that. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So then our artist prints. So we have these frames that we use to hang our artist prints, and then the prints themselves. So I just print off on cardstock from a printer. So, then we have our wall maps that we have of the United States, because we're in the United States, and of the world. And these have these cool looking sides, and then they have a colorful side on the back. Those are off of Amazon. They were pretty inexpensive. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. Then the next thing I have is this little doohickey that we received with Simply Charlotte Mason's preschool Our Life kit. It came for your to put your artist print on or whatever. Get yourself one of these from wherever. It's helpful for holding our tablet. It's helpful for holding pictures, maps, like whatever I need it to hold for during a lesson. It has been great. Okay, sorry if we're making you seasick here. This is a book weight. This has been helpful randomly. Like, your kids sitting and reading a book and they put the book weight on so that, I don't know. We have used it more than I've realized we would, but okay. And then in our bin, we have our Beavercraft knife set for Sloyd. I have highlighters and markers for my son to doodle about when we are doing school. And so he kind of comes and grabs those. And then we also have pens in here. They very rarely use the pens. Mainly, we use our pencils, which we have sharpeners and erasers in here for. We have our dry erase markers and spray, and then our erasers. And then we have our chalk and chalk erasers. So then the last carton in here has more Sloyd stuff. So it's got scissors for paper folding. It has glue sticks as well as our regular liquid glue. And then it's got the bone folding knives. So those are all the things we use for that. Also, I should show you this. In our Beaver Craft set, because they suggest using a wood knife. Hold on. Like a carving knife. That is why we bought this. However, this one, as you can see, the blade is much shorter. I can take the cover off. The blade is much shorter, which allows my daughter to have the precision she needs while having the usefulness of the knife. And there are 3 different knives in this kit that we purchased. And so that is what we've used for Sloyd. Okay. And then we have headphones for our keyboard so that some people can practice, even if the baby is napping, even if, that's what we use there. Okay. And then you've seen my student binders. If you haven't, you can go back and look at that. You can see I obviously use a binder and page protectors in there to switch that stuff out. For handwriting, we just got these simple, cheap, creative writing tablets, and they work just fine because we are teaching the handwriting through the Delightful Handwriting, or I am just helping them with letter formation. And so they just need a place to be able to write. I also have little chalkboards and chalk and more chalk in here. Let me turn around here. Little chalkboards and chalk for in here for them to color, handwriting practice, and all of that. Okay. Timer, necessary. And then for math, we bought the School Nest math books, and they have them in different gridded sizes for your different grades. So we use those for along with our Simply Charlotte Mason elementary arithmetic. Okay. Besides that, we have a couple dry erase boards that we use for writing and stuff on. They might use them for math. If they're not writing directly into their thing, they might use it to sketch a map. They might, whatever they're going to use it for. If they're not writing on paper, they might be writing on that, or they might be writing on their chalkboard. And then we have a couple more binders. These are just 1/2-inch binders for my children's piano work. It keeps their songs in it. It keeps their worksheets that they get from Hoffman Academy. We don't do a lot of worksheets outside of those. And so that is really great. Obviously, these magazine holders I use to hold our different days or certain different subjects, right? So this is math, here's handwriting, this is miscellaneous stuff I keep, this is some Spanish stuff. So they're all in different things. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that we use, or I would be like, oh, you should definitely. These are the things that work for us. Obviously, the only other thing that I have found that is great is this. And it is metal, folds out like that. And you can set a book in here. And then it holds it in place. I like to use that for copy work. So when they are copying out of a book, they can just put it right like that and copy away. So that has been helpful for that specific area. I don't know that we use it for much else, to be honest, but that has been helpful for that. And that solved a big issue I was having. Okay, let me think. Other notebooks that we have, sorry. The only other notebook we have is purchased through Sketch for Schools. Okay, so this is from Sketch for Schools. And you can see here it's an intermediate 80-pound notebook. I believe it's like 100 pages or whatever. And we use it for our nature group. And then when we are done, you can see it's just blank pages. We use this for our science notebook during the year. And so the kids can keep track of whatever they want in the back of that notebook. The front part is for the actual work that they do with our nature group, but their nature notebooking is also part of that work. So that goes in there as well. So I think that's it, other than math manipulatives, but those you're going to buy per your curriculum or whatever you're going to do. So we've got a bunch of different kinds in here to make that work for us. So hopefully this is helpful. It's a longer video chatting about things that are useful for us, but that is all the stuff we bought was just this little bit. Everything else is things we've already owned, because the more you do it, the less supplies it seems like you need. Probably not exactly true, because obviously you get into more of the random weird stuff this way. But like for the card making, we already had cardstock. We already had paper punches. We already had, pens, fancy pens to write with. We had all that kind of stuff. So then it's putting it all together to do the craft. Knitting. We had knitting needles already from me. And so we just needed a little bit extra yarn and whatnot. But as you go, you acquire the basic stuff that you need, and you have less and less of that. But you have more of the little random specific stuff. So hopefully that's helpful. If there's anything you're like, where did you buy that? Or I would love this thing, let me know. I'll put a link if I have it in the comments for you to go find the thing. Obviously, none of this is paid. I don't really do that. And so it is what it is. All right. Have a good one.